I started my gouache journey pretty well prepared. I had already been painting with watercolors and felt somewhat comfortable making the transition to gouache. But like any art medium, there are still new things you need to adjust to. So in this video, I want to share 3 mistakes to avoid when painting with gouache that I learned. Hi there, my name is Audrey, your watercolor bestie, and welcome to my studio. I want to preface these 3 mistakes by saying that they're not necessarily mistakes, because I firmly believe that you can use art supplies however you want. But if you're looking to use it in a more traditional way, then these are the mistakes that you want to work on. Number 1, using too much water. Now, if you're like me and used to watercolor, then adding a lot of water might feel normal, but gouache is meant to be opaque. So if you add too much water, then you end up thinning the paint to the point that it becomes transparent like watercolor. So if you're finding yourself frustrated because you're not getting the right consistency of paint, it might be either because you're using too much water or because the paint quality is not good enough. So start by adding just a small amount of water at a time and get a feel for the consistency, and then paint with it and see how you like it. I'll definitely come out with a video that talks about this a little bit more, but make sure to check out this video about watercolor paint consistency because it's very similar. Again, using too much water with gouache is not wrong, but if you're wanting the full opacity of gouache, then just add a little bit of water. Mistake number 2, not waiting for the previous layer to dry. The beauty of gouache is that you can layer lighter colors on top of darker colors and still be able to see them. With watercolors, you can't do that because they're transparent. But because gouache is a water-soluble paint, you have to wait for it to completely dry before you layer. If you layer gouache on top when the previous layer is still wet, then you're going to see bleeds and blooms. Usually gouache artists go for a flat and matte look. So if that's what you're going for, be patient, let it dry fully, use a hairdryer. Now I've used both styles. I've let the paint sort of bleed into each other like I did with this blue myrtle cactus, but I've also waited for the paint to completely dry before layering like I did in this hydrangea painting. I painted the dark background first, and then I layered the lighter petals of the hydrangea on top. Finally, mistake number 3, not testing out the colors first. Gouache does have a color shift, and it actually dries a little bit darker than when you first lay it down on paper. And this is the opposite of watercolor because watercolor dries lighter. So I always use scrap pieces of paper for swatching and testing out my colors. On a related note, also make sure that the colors you want to use work well together. This is a highly personal choice. So I can't say whether one color scheme is better than the other. All I'm saying is swatch all of your colors, place them next to each other, look at it under different lighting situations, put different colors next to each other, layer them. Just really take the time to experiment and get to know your colors. Even if you have just a few colors, like the video that I have here about the 5-color gouache palette, I think it's really important to experiment. Take your time with the step instead of jumping in, because being confident in your color choices can make the actual painting a little easier to paint. What do you think? Do you have a mistake that you've encountered on your gouache journey? Please leave a comment below so that we can grow together. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, I think you'll like this one that talks about the 10 reasons why you'll love gouache. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.